very special understanding. And there you go. How you like that? Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning to those of us who are here on the Lanai in beautiful Hawaii. We are also glad to welcome those of you who either at this present moment or some future time choose to tune in and be with us in spirit. We are grateful that we have this mechanism since the COVID situation gave us reason to go to YouTube and be available that way. Would like to begin with a reading from Science of Mind from Dan. Dan?
Good morning. This is a reading from the Science of Mind magazine for today. Fear, the antithesis of faith. A man that flies from his fear may find that he has only taken a shortcut to meet it. That's a quote from our token. And from the Bible, Hebrews 11:1. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. When I was young, my first corporate job was as a supervisor of a customer service counter. One day, a client walked in asking for a cash refund. Our company policy was not to give cash for refunds in this way. He was angry and threatened us with a gun. I remember standing there, frozen in fear, and not wanting to make a bad decision and not budging on the refund. I didn't know what to do. In the corner of my eye, I saw an employee slowly edge towards the safety button under the counter. Thankfully, the customer left without incident. In that moment, I learned something about myself. I freeze in fear, and not everyone responds in that way. Today, there's a good chance I'll still freeze in a fearful situation. However, I know that I have fewer of those situations, and I have the tools and confidence to make a decision without fear of being wrong. Ernest Holmes taught that fear is the opposite of confidence, and that fear and trust cannot exist together. I trust myself so much more now than I did when, as a young man, because of my understanding of how God works. I am not afraid to make the wrong decision because I trust I am a channel through which God expresses. I have the tool of affirmative prayer to realize the truth wherever and as frequently as I need it. And our affirmation for today, I'll read through it and then we can all do it together. I am a channel through which God creates. I know the nature of God is love, wholeness, and harmony, and my life reflects that. Together, I am a channel through which God creates. I know the nature of God is love, wholeness, and harmony.
I know the nature of God is love, wholeness, and harmony.
And my life reflects that.
Thank you, John. Could we have a song, please? Viboda is our musician for today. We're grateful to have him with us.
I'm grateful to be here. Okay. Sunny, yesterday my life was filled with rain. Sunny, came into my life and eased the pain. Now the dark days are done and the bright days are here. My sun and one shines so sincere. Sun and one so true. I love you. Sunny, thank you for that sunshine bouquet. Sunny, thank you for the love that you brought my way. You gave to me your all along, and now I feel 10 feet tall. Someone so true. Oh, Sunny, thank you for that smile upon your face. Sunny, thank you for the gleam that flows from grace. My life was torn like a windblown sail. A rock was formed when we held hands. Sunny, once so true. I love you. Sunny, thank you for the truth you let me see. Yeah, Sunny, thank you for the facts from A to Z. You're my spark of nature's fire. You're my one complete desire. Sunny, one so true. I love you. Hey, Sunny, yesterday my life was filled with rain. Sunny, you came into my life and eased the pain. Now the dark days are done and the bright days are here. The sun and one shine so sincere. Sun and one so true. I love you. I love you. I love you, Sunny. I love you.
And my name is Anna, and I'm happy to be your facilitator this morning. We've introduced Viboda, and shortly I'll be introducing our presenter, Debbie Hecht. Right now, I would just like to say, is anyone here for the very first time that needs to know a little bit about New Thought? No, we're all old hands at this. We are a congregation without a minister. Different people come and give us programs, and different ones of us, like me today, do facilitating to make the program happen. So we're a self-service. We do it all, and we invite you to participate in any way that seems fit for you. Our presenter, Debbie Hecht, will give us a question that will serve as a trigger for each of us to give a very short response. And I'll pass the handheld mic around for each of you to say your name and then answer her question. So over to you, Debbie.
Okay, well, as part of my introduction, I was raised Unitarian, and I'm curious how you all were raised. So the question is, how are you raised in a religious way? Should I pass this? Oh, okay. Do you want me to do that?
Well, I'm just.
No, you just pass it around.
Okay.
I'm just making sure it's on.
It's on, don't.
Is it on? Oh, there it is.
Please don't.
You could start.
All right, I don't hear it. Hello. Hi, I'm called Jean. I was brought up a Presbyterian, but I lost people very young, so I studied many, many religions. And yeah, I think shamanism is my home, but I love Jesus, I love Buddha, I love it all.
How was I brought up? Not well. No, was brought up Catholic, but unfortunately, it was a very small town, mainly Italian, and we were lectured at, the priest pounded the pulpit. We were told we're going to go to hell and that kind of thing. So it was not pleasant, but still, all of that didn't matter because I'd look at the Stations of the Cross and I would just look at Jesus and just love him so much and cry for him. So this, again, the same thing that can have one aspect to it can also bring a different, beautiful aspect to it.
Thank you.
Today, again, my hearing isn't good enough, so
What religion were you brought up in?
what we were brought up in.
Yeah, your religion. Your religion.
Oh,
Were you brought up?
okay.
What religion? Yeah.
Thank you. Excuse me. I was brought up in the Roman Catholic religion. It helped me later on as a stepping stone, I realized, where I could take up into the spiritual side of life, which was more and more, becoming more and more important in my life as I grew up. So I'm grateful for religions in this world. They are a stepping stone, but they're by no means the limiting editions. Most of them are passed on to people. So my religion is life.
I guess we're going this way. My name is Leah, and I was raised Presbyterian first. My mother was in charge of 3 kids and making those decisions. My dad was a naval pilot and gone a lot physically, so she was in charge of pretty much everything. She wore pants in the family. So Presbyterian first, and then she, as a teenager, introduced me to inner peace movement, and then to concept therapy, and then to Church of Religious Science. So I've been studying the spiritual aspects of life since I was a teenager, and I feel so blessed for it because it totally changed my life in wonderful ways. Thank you.
Aloha, good morning. I'm Jamie. I was raised with my dad. He's Catholic, but he raised us in an Episcopalian church in California.
I'm Kathy, and I was raised Catholic, 16 years of Catholic education, and a priest by the name of Paul Tivnan abused boys in my family's cottage, and nothing happened. I was born in Boston, and maybe you guys remember, it was called Spotlight. Yeah, he was one of them. And nothing happened to him. Nothing happened to cardinal law either. I married into a Jewish family, and I've learned more about Christianity from my Jewish family than my Catholic family.
I'm Jack. I'm the Jew she married, and was raised in a wonderful, wonderful Jewish environment. Thank you.
I'm a PK, preacher's kid, Southern Baptist, and
I am so righteous now because I had the devil beaten out of me with a belt.
Ooh, I'm Shelba to top that one, huh? Gosh. Oh boy, well, I was raised Methodist, Catholic, Baptist, and Lord help me, a little bit of Pentecostal thrown in there.
I also got exposure to, like Shelba, to several during my growing up years. My parents really didn't care, but they had to please the grandparents. So I went to Sunday school, Episcopal, Unitarian, and United Church of Christ, which is kind of an update of Congregational.
I'm John, and Jack, I grew up in a nonconformist, non-observant Jewish household.
Wow, spiritual journeys all over the place. I'm Pomakai, and I was raised to be a good Mormon. And being in that church, I came to understand that there's so many lies and so much bigotry and so many misteachings in that church that I came to believe there was no such thing as God, that it just was a made up myth that was used to control people. So I went on like that until my early 30s. And then I had a major event, and my husband passed away very suddenly with cancer. And after he passed, things started magically happening in my life. I started creating a new world for myself. I would go to bed at night and I would say, I need this information. How am I going to find it? And I'd wake up in the morning and somebody would be knocking on my door I'd never seen before. And they would have the information I'd said about the night before. And things like that kept happening. And then people gave me books. And I think I got, is her name Debbie? I don't remember even. A preacher's wife that wrote all these beautiful books about the afterlife after people died. Because I did have a death experience with my husband when he passed, and he actually talked to me. So I knew that was real. And then I kept getting these little pieces. And so I finally came to my own religion, which I fully identified with and thought was true. And in my experience, I tested it out. And then I would meet people from LifeSpring and Est, and they would say, "Oh, you believe what we believe. Come to our trainings." And I go, "Why? I already believe it." So I didn't have a spiritual home, but I didn't have a need at that time either. But as time went on, I grew a need for a spiritual home. And somebody invited me to a wedding. And I went to this because I swore I'd never go to a church again. And they invited me to a wedding, and they said, it's at our church. And I said, "Okay, where is it?" And they go, "Oh, you know that shopping center up there? That's where it is, in Huntington Beach." And I went, "Oh, it's just a few blocks from my house. That's convenient." So I went to this wedding, and the minister that walked out was a woman, which floored me because that wasn't my experience up to then. And she was phenomenal. And her name was Peggy Bassett, and some of you may know who she was. She was quite the woman. Anyway, then somebody invited me to the church services there, and I thought, I'll go. But I fought against it and wanted to go with my girlfriend, and she kept making excuses not to go. And eventually I just said, I'm going to go. And I walked in the church, 900 people sitting in that room. Somehow I managed to get close to the front, which was a good thing. And I sat down, didn't know a single soul in the whole place, but I felt so much love that I started crying. And I just cried through the whole service. And the lady next to me started laughing. And she reached over to me and she said, "I hope you don't mind my laughing." And I looked at her and I said, "I hope you don't mind my crying." And we both said, "No," and we hugged each other. And we just kept laughing and crying through the rest of the service. So that's how I kind of eventually wound up here, because even though the Science of Mind teachings are incredible, and I call I call his book my Bible. That's my Bible now. It was, I moved up in the clergy in that church, but they had so many restrictions, even though they kept saying we're open at the top. They weren't. So it was like, oh, here we go again, another Mormon church. But it wasn't quite that bad. So I just went, okay, well, this isn't my place right now. So I just kind of let it go and say, okay, God, lead me. And that's why I am here today.
That was like your whole life story. That was really long. I'm Faith. And I'm still growing up. I'm still a child, so I don't know. I don't know what I think.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm Jan, and I grew up in the Presbyterian church of my parents, and it was a more liberal form of Presbyterianism because my parents were liberal. So I was lucky, and I got interested in Eastern religion when I was 19, and they were fully behind me on that. And then I became a unity lover, went to a lot of unities, a lot of great ministers and churches.
Good morning. My name is Reagan. Like Margie, I was raised with the Bible in the belt down in Texas.
Hi, I'm Sol. I wasn't raised in any religion, and I'm kind of thankful that I'm still dogma free. I feel like there's a lot of damage from that, but I do feel like there was a belief in prayer. There was a belief in a gentle creator. There wasn't like threat of sin or anything like that. And then through marriage, I spent time with the Latter-day Saints, and I didn't experience bigotry or even a lot of falsities. I appreciated that there was no paid pastor. I appreciated their like top tier phone tree, in the sense of emergency preparedness, support. But I always felt like I wasn't quite measuring up. I always felt like I had a giant to-do list of things to catch up on in order to know what was happening. And then as a single mom, I was still searching and spent a lot of time in non-denominational churches, mostly just returning to the power of prayer and fellowship, and wanting to have my kids have a mentor and an example, and a higher belief or those opportunities. And now I just want magic to be my religion. I really feel like nature all around, especially on this island, is very alive, and it's an instant, direct teacher and connection.
My name is Sally, and my father was Quaker, and my mother was Catholic. And I am the one child in the family that didn't go to Catholic school. So proud public school graduate. So learned a lot about the world in a different way than most Catholics. I got it secondhand from my sisters, which, like the telephone game, doesn't always come through the way it was meant. So always learning.
I'm Condor. I was raised in Victorville Methodist Church. It was a free thinking. That was the most wonderful time in my life. Methodist Church was in Victorville was really free. And I met Master Subramania, and we got married in Reed College. And Master Subramania died in 2001, by the way. He's still alive. He died in 2001. He's still alive. And that's why I'm here, because he set up householders on this island, and monks on Kauai. And that temple is being built stone by stone still. And that's why I'm here, because this is home.
Good morning, I'm Candy. I was raised Protestant non-denominational church, and you'll be happy to know that I've been saved so many times. Because before the children went downstairs to their classes, the preacher would ask who wanted to be saved, and I would always raise my hand because no one else would, and I felt so sorry for him. He didn't know I was the same person.
I'm Vibora, and I was a baptized Catholic, and I have 3 older brothers, all baptized Catholic, mom and dad Catholic, and my 3 older brothers got confirmation too, but for some reason I never did. I went to Catholic grammar school with nuns and priests and nuns, and yeah, the yardstick, and then I started surfing, and I went out from there to Episcopal school, and then that wasn't working. So I went to the public school, all hell broke loose, and and I'm just lover of life. The essence of truth and well-being and peace is within you and me.
This from Chris Quinn, who is also known as Viboda. Viboda. Okay. Don.
Hi, I'm Don. I was raised in a Roman Catholic family. Very, very following the rules type. I was an altar boy. Anybody else an altar boy? I was an altar boy for many years and all that. But then I can't remember what age it was, 14 or 15. I started reading about meditation, and it just brought up all kinds of questions in my mind. And the biggest question was, what is it about all the different religions that is the same? What is a unifying belief system? Not because I always thought too much thinking about our differences, and I'm not interested in the differences. I'm interested in what we all find to inspire our lives, and I find that here at New Thought, which is great. Thank you.
Thank you. Awesome. So, Anna, you want to share yours, and then we can have our speaker share hers?
My turn. I was raised in a traditional big columns out front, big steeple Baptist church in Mississippi for a little while. And then I moved to North Carolina. And the church was Baptist that my parents chose was, you would call it progressive, I guess, today. The Baptist Association threw us out because our minister was the people who were fighting segregation And then later, the people who were anti-gay, we had a request at our church to marry a gay couple. And the minister, rather than making the decision, threw it to a variety of conversations within the congregation. And we all said, oh yeah, let's do it. And it was after that that we were thrown out of the Baptist local. And then we chose to come out of the Southern Baptist Convention. But before I got to that point, when I was young, I was married in that church. And then for some reason, I decided I knew more. And I left it and I said, a bunch of hogwash. So all of that other stuff I told you about happened years and years later when suddenly I had an awakening and said, I need spirit in my life. And I went back. And I ended up being the cook on Wednesday night, singing in the choir, and making an occasional sanctuary flower arrangement. So that was my springboard to coming here. Has anybody else not shared that would like to share?
I'll share just a little
Yes.
bit more. My father was Jewish, my mother was Catholic. They were married in 1950 by a Unitarian minister, and then as time went on, Dad decided that we should have some religion, and my mother was more inspired by the Church of the Holy Mattress, so she didn't really participate. And so Pop took us to Quakers, he took us to Methodist, took us to Presbyterian, and settled. He became a building member of a church in 1960 in Lincroft, New Jersey. So, and that's where I grew up, but didn't participate. And then, but in the last, 15 years, been in a wonderful church when we're on the mainland in Solana Beach. And I wish Dad was still alive because I would absolutely thank him for not inflicting heavy duty Judaism or Catholicism on me. And because I watched my cousins overcome all the Jewish guilt and my Catholic friends go through all the counseling for that. And luckily, I mean, still done some counseling, but at least I, missed that part of it. So I thank Pop a lot for that choice. So, and Unitarian is very embracing. So they even just did an 8th tenant, I guess. And it's pretty interesting about embracing all races and religions and all that. So I'm pretty happy there, but this sounds very similar. So I'm glad to be here with all of you. Thank you.
Normally we start with a prayer or a meditation, but today I skipped it. I'm not sure why. So I'm going to do it now. As we've heard all these various stories and we reflect on our own upbringing, I'm just going to have a very brief silent meditation. I'll do a chime to begin and end. So just get comfortable, close your eyes, and give some inward thought to what your answer was and what your feelings are now. welcome back. And Viboda, would you be willing to give us a song, please?
Welcome back.
Of all that I've been blessed with in this life, there was an emptiness in me. I was imprisoned by the power of gold. With an honest touch, you set me free. Let the world stop turning, let the sun stop burning. Let them tell me love's not worth going through. If it all falls apart, then I know deep in my heart the only thing that mattered had come true. In this life, I was loved by you. Of all the mountains that I've climbed, every raging river crossed, you were the treasure that I longed to find. Without your love, I would be lost. Let the world stop turning, let the sun stop burning. Let them tell me love's not worth going through. If it all falls apart, then I know deep in my heart the only dream that mattered had come true. In this life, I was loved by you. I know that I won't live forever, but forever I'll be loving you. Let the world stop turning, the sun stop burning. Let them tell me love's not worth going through. If it all falls apart, then I know deep in my heart the only dream that mattered had come true. In this life, I was loved by you. In this life, I was loved by you.
Thank you. Thank you, Viboda. Now comes a time for miracles and ordinaries, and I don't need to explain to you what that is. Pasha said she would like to be the lead person, so I recognize Pasha first.
So I'm privileged to be part of the New Thought prayer team. And in that role, I received a message on Friday night, kind of an urgent prayer request from Mahina Saunders, who does music for us fairly often. And she was wanting the prayer team to send very powerful prayers for Randy, who was our facilitator last week. And she said at that point, he was in ICU in the hospital on Oahu. I'm not sure which one. And that he was very sick and needed lots of prayers. So we got on the job, and but yesterday morning I received just a very short message from Mahina saying that Randy passed yesterday morning, which is kind of shocking considering he was sitting in this chair last Sunday and he joined us for the potluck. But he was experiencing a lot of pain. He had such a strong sense of duty. You know, he didn't want to let anyone down, and he was planning to be here next week when Mahina is scheduled for music. He agreed to do sound on August 23rd. He was just participating in life until yesterday morning. He graduated. So some of us that were part of the prayer team found this out, but I know some of you are learning it for the first time. So we were looking for the Kleenex box and we couldn't, right when we needed it. Where is it? Yeah, but we have a card. We have a card for Mahina. So after service, if you'd like to send your wishes, Randy, I'm sure, is out of pain, but Mahina's gonna have a process. So anyway, honoring and missing Randy, and knowing that all is in divine order.
Who else would like to share? Tony.
Sort of along the same lines. I feel a little whatever going after that, because I know a lot of us, that surprised us and touched us. So anyways, I was on the way here. This is a little uplifting, okay? I was on the way here, and I was getting close to Tashima's, and I'm like, Hank, I always think of you when I go by Tashima's. And some of you may or may not know, so on one of Hank's books, I don't think it's Boldly, it's one of the other ones, there's a picture of Leopard Man, and Hank had done that drawing. And we had raffled it off here at New Thought a few years ago, maybe it was. And Papa and I were like, oh, wow, wouldn't that be wonderful? So we had to fill out a questionnaire of so many questions. And if you got them all right, you were put into a raffle or something. And so I don't remember exactly how it happened, but Margie teamed up with Palmer and I. And I remember we put him for a drawing or something of the people that we got all the answers right, with a little help from the teacher. And we pulled the raffle and it was our name. And I was like, oh my God, we got that. It was like, we hung it on the wall. It was so beautiful. And then I thought about it. And I thought, we're not even here all year round. So I went to Margie and I said, Margie, you're really the reason, or most of the reason, or at least you shared the reason that we won this and we can enjoy it. Palmer and I are gone so much. What if we have joint custody of the painting? And then when we're not here, you take it and then you hang it and you enjoy it. And then we come back, we can enjoy it. So we've been doing that for several years, I think. And as I was, I'm selling things in my house, getting ready to put the house on the market. I looked at that and I went, it doesn't belong in Mississippi. It doesn't, that's not the energy. It's on this island. So I told Margie, please take this. Please take this because it belongs here.
the energies here belongs here. So when I was driving today, and it was like, Hank, I always think of you whenever I go by Tashima's, because in the early days, we used to take Hank to Tashima's. And I remember a lot, some of you being there, and Pomai was there, and Faith was in the stroller, and we used to, yeah, or I guess she sat in a child seat. Okay, but anyways, and I heard Hank say to me, I'm so glad you gave that to Margie. Thank you. He used to come a lot at the beginning. Now, not so much, but he pops in every now and then. So it's, and you know, Palmer pops in a very different way. And I know a lot of your loved ones do too. And the thing is, for me, the way they pop in is so expansive. It's so, I don't know, it's just a continuation. It's just a continuation in different ways with different people at different times. And so it seems as if all these, the people that we're experiencing leaving the planet now, and it seems like we've had a lot here, I think we're going to continue to experience them. And I think they send us the gifts, and they send us these messages. And I think a lot of it's just encouragement so we can experience directly some of the taste of the freedom and joy of our soul and what we truly are. I know for Palmer, the way he's coming is not the personality of Palmer. It's a very different way. It's a very soul way. So I'm very grateful. Thank you, Margie.
Thank you for sharing, folks. And I won't stand up at the mic, but I will tell you that my miracle is that I have almost made it to 80, and I will not be with you when I do. That's coming up shortly, and I'll be on the mainland in North Carolina. Okay. I'm going to introduce Debbie Hecht, and before we do that, we have a lay for Debbie. Originally from New Jersey, Debbie Hecht has lived in Kona since the early 2000s. She has worked extensively on land conservation measures. She co-authored all of the legislation for the 2% Land Fund Program, PONC, legislation starting in 2005. In 06, in 10, in 12, and 20, she ran campaigns to get the charter amendments approved. She enjoys reading, researching, and writing educational pieces. And she's written a whole bunch of pieces of legislation. She has experience facilitating groups, including a fledgling memoir group she started recently. She served on numerous boards, generally in leadership positions. In addition to that professional side, she's a snorkeler, a hiker, a master gardener, and a tennis player. And she's already mentioned how grateful she is to her dad that he helped her to find a spiritual path without the burden of guilt. She believes this is what formed her core value of activism. And in recent years, she has given several talks to the Unitarian Fellowship of San Diego. Her topic today is the power of resilience, lessons from life experiences. Welcome, Debbie. We look forward to your message.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It's really nice to learn about all of you. That was very, very insightful and gives me sort of a better idea of who you are and what you've accomplished together. My name is Debbie Hecht, and mahalo for inviting me to speak and giving me some time to do so. I believe that being resilient is essential to having a successful life. Just like Ralph Waldo Emerson describes, to laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate the beauty, to find the best in others, to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition, to know even one life has breathed a bit easier because you have lived. That is to succeeded. I don't know about you, but I feel deeply distressed at the state of our country, to the point of despair on some days. The hits just keep on coming every day. I think we've hit a new low, and then the next day it goes lower, amazingly. Is that me? We are testing the resiliency of our laws, customs, and norms in this country. I was absolutely shocked to learn about the peaceful transition of power, that wasn't a law, that it was a norm. I mean, it was astonishing to me that over all these years, every time a new president came in, it was the norm, a peaceful transition. Well, lucky us, but things changed. I personally need resilience during these difficult and deeply disturbing times. I literally some days feel beat up by the news. I know people say don't watch, but one, I'm too intensely curious, and also I do want to be an informed voter. So I want all that information. I want to be kept up to date. And I am trying to understand other people's point of view. It's like a car wreck. I just can't look away. We Americans are a resilient stock born from immigration. All our ancestors immigrated, running from wars or hardships. My ancestors all came from Germany. So I'm just starting to look into that, deeply curious about all that. They all came here looking for a better life, seeking a better life. Our Constitution is a resilient document. It can be amended. Let's keep that in mind. Moving to resilience, which is why I'm here. My son had a Bozo the Clown punching bag. Did anybody's kids ever have one of those? Yeah. Do you remember those? They were weighted on the bottom. And we had it in the living room, and I was a single mom too. And we would walk by and, it was a bad day, bam, and it'd go down, come up. And some days it seemed like you would hear whack, whack, it'd just be going on and on. So some days we seem to whack Bozo more than others. But when I think of resilience, I think of that Bozo the Clown and this bounce back ability. So that's sort of my mental image of the whole thing. Building resilience has been a do or die issue for me, literally. And because in the last, 15, 16 years, I have had health challenge after health challenge after health challenge. And I could not have survived the last 15 years without resilience. It started out with breathlessness when walking stairs or playing tennis. I was in and out of the ER. I had AFib, so they determined an ablation would fix that and my brain fog. During the ablation, they found out I needed 2 stents, got through that, thought I was good to go. A year went by, and then I had a stroke that affected my eyes, back on the tennis court to go long to short, long to short. Then over the last decade, 3 more stents, 4 more ablations, another stroke, a pacemaker, a Watchman, and a defibrillator. It was an avalanche to dig out from under. As a result, I am chemically dependent and battery operated. It sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? But it is literally the truth. So I have a heartfelt appreciation for my body and most definitely for the medical profession. I'm alive. And sometimes I wonder why. I mean, Is there a grand plan why some people get to survive all these challenges? I mean, I don't know. I'm sure it's very much due to my resilience and tenacity, which some people find not so endearing. I was in my late 50s and figured out I had possibly 40 more years if I was lucky. I want to be that lucky. Okay, so bright girl, how do you get there? What are my priorities? I was good at prioritizing things from being single mom and running my own business. I mean, constantly got to pick the kid up, got to meet clients, got to rent apartments, got to do this and that and that. I didn't realize at that point in time that I was building resilience. In 1991, I had an aneurysm in the artery going to my kidney and was so fortunate to find a doctor that discovered that. It was just a whooshing sound through a stethoscope, or I would have been dead, literally, seriously gone. So I was 40 years old. My son was 9 or 10, actually 7 or 8. I went to the surgeon. I lived with that for a year. Then I was on a plane going to a tennis tournament, and I thought, oh my God, if that thing goes now, man, I am out of here. So, and I wanted to see my son grow up. That was so important to me. Went to the doc and I said, hey, you got to fix this thing. So it wasn't how they do things now where you go through the femoral artery. Back in the early 90s, it was a whole, take all your organs out, repair. Anyway, I won't go into the grand organ recital. But after the operation is over, the doc came back, he goes, boy, that thing was ready to go. And I was like, wow, unbelievable that who's ever in charge, my guardian angels said, you better fix that thing. So, but anyway, I don't want to go into organ recitals and I don't want to get stuck in woundology either. But I think that being authentic brings 3 things into alignment: what you think, what you say, and what you do. Being authentic is at the very heart of being resilient. I have worked for myself for 47 years as a real estate broker in Arizona, where brokers have the power of an attorney. I worked as an investor, as a community leader on land conservation projects in Arizona and here in Hawaii. Past 22 years, as Anna said, on the PUNC Commission land fund program on our island, where 2% of our property taxes every year are put into a fund to purchase open space and parklands as presented to the commission, which is made up of citizens. And almost 12,000 acres have been saved on this island as parklands. So Hawaii will remain Hawaii, partly because of that program. So I was so lucky I could pick and choose real estate or land conservation projects, and I've been fortunate to make a great living. I also, because of the picking and choosing, came to realize that in between real estate projects, conservation projects, mom projects, whatever, that there were times when you needed to redirect or reconsider what you were doing, where you were going, what was working, what wasn't. Came to call these times the pause. And, you know, for a young person, an impatient young person, a driven young person, this would be like, oh my God, I have to find something to do, you know. And then I realized what a gift these times were to reconsider, to pause, and to just reflect. And rest, as my 96-year-old friend told me later, rest is part of resilience. I was shocked, completely shocked. I was like, how did I forget that? But resilience helps us roll with the punches and rise again. As my dear friend Carol Mason, who died a few months ago at 96, also said she learned from her father to get up, get dressed, and get on with your day. And whatever your plan was, do it anyway. This worked for her to rebound from her life's challenges. As I said, she lived to be 96, And I would judge as a fairly happy, well-adjusted human with some real wisdom. Building the skill of resilience is like working a muscle. I found certain traits build resilience for me. Optimism, positive mental attitude, embracing change, that was a tough one. A sense of humor, very important. Positive self-image, humility, persistence, compassionate self-talk, helping others and knowing when to rest and pause. You can have the best of intentions, but it's super important to avoid traps like self-pity, woundology, fear of change, comparing myself to others, erroneous assumptions, and self-limiting beliefs, taking things personally, and negative self-talk. Self-pity is definitely my worst trap. Through all of my ongoing heart issues, I always go through a self-pity phase. Why me? I'm so sick of this. I just want 2 years, nothing done to my poor old body. Happens every time, and I expect it now. Now I say, okay, girlie, you got 5 minutes to feel sorry for yourself and then knock it off. And I really do that, which of course makes me laugh, and which pops me right out of the self-pity. Humor's a strong antidote. The best written wisdom on how far self-pity can take you is towards co-opting your identity. Was written by Carolyn Meese. It's a chapter in her book, Why People Don't Heal and How They Can. It's called Woundology, and I really encourage people to read it. It explains how people can get stuck in victimhood to gain sympathy, attention, or sadly, even their sense of identity. And as we age, this can definitely be a trap, also known as the organ recital. So I used to fear change. I mean, I actually hated change. And then I think I was 35 and I realized change is inevitable, just like taxes and death. You just better get used to it. And, my dog died, my grandma died. I worried about going from 8th grade to high school, like my granddaughter did recently. My parents divorced. I had to go to college. We're leaving home. And I'm such a homebody. John knows this better than anybody. Some days I need a crowbar to get myself out of the house. I'm just perfectly happy puttering around. So James Baldwin said, not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced. And Erica Young, who famously wrote the book A Fear of Flying, said, I have accepted fear as part of life, specifically the fear of change. I have gone ahead despite the pounding in my heart that says, turn back, turn back. Curiosity is my antidote to fear change. I get curious and the mystery of what might unfold. What's going to happen next? Eckhart Tolle wisely said, some changes look negative on the surface, but you will soon realize that space is being created in your life for something new to emerge. That is my definition of having faith in fate. Faith in fate. I have come to appreciate the pause. My life has been a series of work or conservation projects, political campaigns, or advocating for legislation. When one project is complete, I found I could either be anxious or rest, get curious to see what comes next. Another no-win situation that I did mostly as a teen and early 20s was probably comparing myself to others. I remember it, and my granddaughter is now 15, and I mean, she has legs that go on past forever and is gorgeous. And I remember, and I look at her, and I raised a boy, so now I'm watching her go through all the hormonal volcanoes that I went through, and it is painful to watch, and even worse to personal revisit. So, but I remember like stupid stuff like, oh my God, I have thunder thighs. I look at pictures, I go, this is crazy. So Anyway, I don't let myself worry about being good enough or limit myself by playing small anymore. Right along with comparing myself to others as people pleasing, I don't think I really understood this until I was a mom. Being a mom was a great teacher for me. You cannot give your kid advice if you're not going to do the same, right? So the hypocritical whole thing, sort of smacks you in the face occasionally. I remember my son was, I don't know, 5 or 6, and he came home from school in tears. And I'm looking at this adorable little boy in tears. And of course, as a mom, at least for me, it just hurt. I mean, it made my body cringe and hurt. And I said, honey, what's wrong? And he said, Mom, there's 2 kids in my class that don't like me. And I was like almost in tears with him. And I said, oh no, well, what's the lesson here, right? So I grabbed a piece of paper. I said, how many kids are in your class? I said, 22. Made 22 circles and colored in 2. And I said, okay, look at all the people that like you. And there's only 2 that don't. Well, he went, oh. And I went, wow, where did that come from, occasionally. So, but then I had to apply that too. So when I'm in groups of people and a couple of people don't like me, I think, well, all right, well, if you're making a difference, not everybody's going to like you, so that's okay, right? There you go. Then, as I got older, there were self-limiting beliefs or erroneous assumptions. I would assume people felt like me. I would assume everybody knew what I did, which just smacked me upside the head last week. And but that's not true. It's just not true. You kind of. I had a teaching degree. Well, I have a teaching degree, but so I always, even talking to people, I always am curious about what I call their reading readiness, because you can't learn something new if you can't hook it onto something that you already know. So that's kind of what I'm speaking about. But so my family growing up was dad, mom, brother, me, dog. And that was kind of the pecking order too in the family. And I mean, they were all super neat. I mean, super neat, lining up pencils and all that. And I thought, oh my God, I'm a hopeless slob. And, and I was just self-chastising, self-flagellating. And then I went to college and I lived in a small dorm, and half the girls were sloppier than me. Half of them were neater than me. And I went, maybe I'm normal and they're crazy. So that was great. I mean, that was right around the Vietnam War era. And I started questioning everything and anything. So that really laid the groundwork, I think, for questioning everything, but also for my advocacy and my social justice bent. Negative self-talk was a big one for me too. My dad and I played tennis for years. I think I started playing around 9 or 10. Love the game, but I was playing singles. I didn't have a doubles partner to commiserate with, but I would, like beat myself up, go, oh my God, you are stinking up the court. What are you doing? Call yourself a tennis player. And I mean, I just got to the point where I got disgusted with my negative self-talk. And that was that, and I said, and I thought, if I can't be my own best cheerleader, why should anybody else want a job? So I cut that out, and it really, really, really helped. I mean, incredibly helped. So, and I would say, okay, you're doing the best you can, try harder next time, and just keep going. Maya Angelou said, and I love Maya Angelou, her wisdom, do the best you can until you know better. When you know better, do better. Simple, right? As Rev Heather said, you have to trust your future self, that your future self will do better. Language is an important part of self-compassion. You can always flip the script. Instead of criticizing anybody or yourself, you can look at the bright side. You can look at the the 20 kids who like you, not the 2 that don't. So taking things personally is another really, really brutal trap. It can come from low self-esteem and wrecks your relationships with others. Eleanor Roosevelt said, "No one can make you inferior without your consent." She's so right. A psychologist friend of mine, an ex-New Yorker, has a great sense of humor. Roger, who is a punny guy, most wisely said, "Don't take things poisonally." Poisonally. Can't you just hear a guy with a New York accent like say that? Don't take things poisonally. Not only does he speak to the damage done by poisoning a relationship, but he uses his stellar sense of humor to poke fun at our frailties. Don't take things poisonally. Roger's statement has a step into our humanity and reminds us that mostly everyone is doing their best. This belief builds optimism and resilience. Being humble. From my readings, all the great thinkers have a degree of humility. We are all in this together. We try our best. If we fall, we get back up. We dust ourselves off. I have always wished I could have known Eleanor Roosevelt. She was such an inspiration to me. For all the good she has done in the world, her humanitarian efforts, and her wisdom, she said, "I am so glad I never feel important. It does complicate life." Humility clears the mind of ego and opens the eyes to authenticity and builds resilience. Getting overwhelmed is another trap. Just in the last, 10, 15 years, I've become sort of an avid list maker. Helps me go to sleep at night when I can write things down I didn't do all day long. I get some perverse satisfaction about crossing things off. But it also helps me organize my day. So, and I get overwhelmed less, like, oh my God, I have so much to do, and it makes it easier. I think that one of the things that I really come to value up from living on this island, where there's not quite as many things to do as there are in other parts of the world, the mainland most notably, is the people-to-people experience here is so much richer, I think, than anywhere else. And I think it must be due to that, not that there's not that much to do, because there's plenty of outdoor stuff to do. I mean, gardening, swimming, and snorkeling, and all that. But it's the visiting with people and getting to know people on a deeper level. And there's also the family experience of this island. I mean, I think that on some, maybe even subconscious level, we all know that we're going to get hit with some kind of environmental disaster, whether it's a volcano or tsunami or on an earthquake, whatever, and that, you're not going to trash your neighbor thinking, well, somebody else will come along, because there's only 200,000 people in this whole island. Probably somebody else isn't going to come along. So you got to work things out. You got to be a little softer, kinder, gentler. And I like that. I like that. I like that a lot here. I think it's a great life lesson. There is a beautiful Buddhist parable about 2 arrows. You're going to get hit with the first arrow, which is the inevitable pain of life. That's going to happen no matter what. But the second arrow of suffering is optional. It's up to you. You can decide if you want to suffer the pain of the first one and internalize it, which is also what Carolyn Meese says about woundology. Does you take that as part of your identity? I mean, not for me. I don't think that's the way to go. So how strong are your resiliency skills? Think about this in the next week. Think about how you build resilience. Think about the traps you get stuck in. Life is a series of choices. Carl Jung said, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." That kind of harkens back to the 2 arrows, the Buddhist 2-arrow theory. So resilience is picking yourself up, dusting yourself off, and learning from what happened. It's not a failure if you learn from past things. You just move on. These days, resiliency is more important than ever when the hits just keep on coming and hope is in short supply. I think connection, compassion, and understanding that we are all in this together is so important right now. We must shore up our connections and correct social injustice, renew our conservation values, and collaborate to get the United States back on track. Hopefully, the coming election will build stronger collaborations and show what we can accomplish together. If we start with gratitude for our great country and for the wisdom of our ancestors, I think we can rebuild things from where we are. We must put one foot in front of the other and build our collective, our national resilience to continue to carry the flame of freedom. Nelson Mandela said during the fall of apartheid, the greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. Let's carry Maya Angelou in our hearts and minds and become more resilient and still, like air we rise. As she says in part of her poem, just like moons and like suns with the certainty of tides, just like hopes springing high, still I'll rise and we will rise. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Debbie.
You're welcome. My
I'm
pleasure.
going to pass the gold bowl, and Chris is going to give us inspiration to put something in it that would reflect our concern for keeping up what a place this is and how it is and why it is. Okay.
Hey, wala, hey, come on. Wala, amay, kaya baiki. Hey, kipa, hey, mama. Hey, ho, ola, oi, kanaka. Hey, pa, ina, ay, ho, i. Ne, hey, kini. Hey, ki, aloha, na. Oh, Hawaii. Inani, ila ila oh ola keki alohana oh Hawaii e kuna hele ho I oi mama ko e la e kuna wala amai ke avalaki
I think we'll just go home. I have so much to do at home, but thank you.
Ila ila oh ola keiki aloha oh e kuna hele oi oi mama ko
appreciate all of your contributions into the Koa Bowl as well. I'd like to share with you what's coming up at New Thought. Our Sunday services at 10 a.m. are either in person, as you know, from here, or live stream if you've never tried it, or if you have friends that are in far-flung places and you want to share what's meaningful to you here. It's on YouTube. Free childcare, but we ask that if you want to utilize childcare, give us a call by Friday. And for the next 3 Sundays, 8-7 Shauna Pa'akala, practice kilo, parenthesis, keen observation, to align with nature and with Keakua. Music by Mahina, subject to possible revision, and friends. 816 Carrie Cinder, who says activism can't be spiritual? Kathy and I would say absolutely it can. Jen and Wong will be with us at 8:23, Creating Peace Through Art, with music by Lauren Wilkin. The weekly class on Mondays is by Jen and Wong. It is Tai Chi and Qigong, 4:30 to 5:30, all levels. It is 15 per class, but a reduced monthly rate. If you come all Mondays, it's 48, and you would pay by the first Monday. We have crystal bowl meditation between 9 and 9:30 here in the room, and that is by donation, although it is a free event. Next one is August the 9th, and August 30th, we will have our last of the month potluck, and that will be here on the lanai after the service. Right. Okay. There are some special events. Sunday the 9th, our presenter, Shauna Pa'akala, will have a Hawaiian language class from 1:30 to 2:30. And it's a love offering, all levels, and it's here on the lanai. 8:15, Genso Community Drumming and Sacred Garden Journey Circle, 9:30 to 12, Hanua Room, and that's 20 to 40, a sliding scale. And she is requesting that if you're interested in that class, you RSVP. There is a flyer on the bulletin board if you're interested. Volunteer sign-up sheet is on the table, and we have special needs, painting, deep cleaning, carpentry, lei making, video editing, and other ideas you may come up with. We also have the prayer circle box over there, and if you have a prayer request of our prayer ministry group, please put in the wooden box, please put a note over there. We've got forms you can fill out. We do ask that your prayers be for those that you have secured permission to put their names down. Please sign our guest book if you haven't signed up yet for the weekly newsletter, or you can sign up on the website, www.newthoughtcenterofhawaii.com. And if you don't see the newsletter in your inbox on Wednesday morning, it could be in your spam folder. Several people have said this has happened to them lately, and we have gotten it regular now, right, Pasha? We're sending it out regularly. I have no closing prayer, but I would say each of us has a lot of food for thought, thanks to Debbie, thanks to the sharing that we've done with one another. And we do have Hawaii Aloha, and we will be glad to circle up. What? Lunch is on your own. Debbie has been offered to be taken out to lunch, and she said life is too complicated and busy right this moment. So she's going to pass on lunch today. So if any of you want to talk up and get together and go out to lunch together, go for it. All right, circle up. That was great. Oh, thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.